According to the India Retail Report 2017-18, the Indian food industry is poised for huge growth. It should come as no surprise to anyone that the food retail market in 2016 was estimated to be approximately 301,000 crores, or almost $500 billion. That market is growing at 14.4% annually. And by the time 2020 comes around, we're going to be looking at a market size of about 530,000 crores, or almost $830 billion. The food retail market is dominated by raw and processed food items with a 90% share, the other 10% held by food service. So what are the key growth drivers and the emerging trends? To talk about those, we have a great panel that's going to kick off the afternoon for us. So I'd like to call up on stage Arvind Varchasvi, Managing Director, Sri Sri Tatva; Hari Menon, Founder and CEO, Big Basket; Jamshed Dabu, Managing Director, Trent Hypermarkets; Firoz Kambata, CMD, Rasna; Saugata Gupta, MD and CEO, Marico; and to lead the discussion and moderate the session, Sadashiv Nayak, Head Foods at Future Group.
Good afternoon. Namaste. I think the subject of discussion given was building the next billion, or catering to the next billion of users. And I think, I'm sure many of you have attended panels like this, discussion like these, and these lofty topics do come up from time to time, and there are discussions built around it. We thought we'll kind of make a slight twist, and because it's very rare to have a seasoned, experienced panel like this, and diverse as well, whether it's retail, FMCG, New Age. I think it's a very, very different kind of a panel which we have here. So we said, let's turn it around a bit, yeah? And some of the subject almost said that you're going to invest in a decade of food retailing, a decade, 10 years, yeah? When you go back and see what happened in the last 10 years, I think a whole generation has changed. Many things have changed. And if this group is going to talk about the decade which is going to come in, we're going to be addressing another generation. I don't know what they'll be called after being called a millennial, but there'll be another generation. We'll see another generation kind of switch over from being young to getting into middle age and so on and so forth. We shouldn't forget that the senior citizens, whom now in Future Group we call young elders, will become young and consuming at that age. So it'll be a very, very different kind of a mixture of customers whom we'll see, a very, very different kind of a decade we'll see. And I thought we'll kind of ask each of these gentlemen here, and feel free to kind of stop and ask any question, and really pull out from their individual leadership as well. I think there's no introduction needed for any one of them here, but what do they bring in from their personal lessons to really go back and invest back into the decade? So I'm going to open the discussion for all of you gentlemen, and feel free, anyone can go in first. I think if it's really about impacting a whole generation, what is it one thing which you'd like to leave behind for that generation? From where you are today, from where you see food retailing today. So this is really an open question to all of you. What is that one thing which you'll leave behind for the generation which is going to be living up in the decade, which is what we're really discussing. So anyone can go in first. Hari, you want
to? I've been saying this actually, practically the entire day, speaking. But I think that one thing that, that's going to impact and going to make a difference, and would be very important going forward for the next generation would be, as far as food is concerned, is going to be focus on health. I think what's happening is, and we've seen this happen, in our own platform, consumers actually starting to focus a lot on health-related products. Organic, for example, is one such stuff, which moment you put it up there, it just flies off the shelf in that sense. So there's no supply, and there's reasonable demand that's there for products like this. Similarly, on many other areas that we're doing, we're actually seeing people reading labels now. This is not a trend that we had seen happening earlier. And we're able to track this, in our, in a sense on our site, where people are actually spending more time, on product images, and reading, nutritional information that's available there. So that's my take.
And to cater to this, what are you going to do I guess you're saying health is a discontinuity. What are you going to be doing from your influence?
So we are, creating a lot of partnerships around this. In fact, we announced one this morning with Sri Tattva, because we believe that that's very strategic for us in that direction. We are creating health as a separate category now, and it wasn't a separate category, on Big Basket till now. We are creating a very, very wide range of private labels that are going to be built around it. We've also got a new brand name. It's called Good Diet, and under that brand we'll have a lot of health, focused products. And finally, we are actually doing huge amount of work in creating interest amongst farmers to actually go organic. And we're finding that very difficult. It's not been easy at all, because nobody has gone there and told them that we can also create a market for you, because they've always been very, very skeptical about doing anything in organic, because there is investment, it takes time, it's very different, and without knowing, if there's a market and if there's a price that they're going to get for it. So there are so many questions that they ask, but I think we're trying to actually make a difference there by creating a market around that. So that's what we're doing.
Saugata, you want to talk about the discontinuity that you see? Hari mentions health is going to be the discontinuity.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think health and wellness will be a big discontinuity. The other interesting thing is, while we keep on talking about the millennials, there will be a significant section of population who will be, say, in the 50 plus, who would have aged and with disposable income. This is the first generation of people who want to stay young, fit, and have the disposable income. So I think that health and wellness and the entire thing on anti-aging. The second thing I would think is that one is, of course, a healthy India as opposed. I think there's a rising consciousness about being responsible and consuming responsibility and sustainability on that. So the fact that what we take out from nature and we give back to nature, and I think that is something, and I'm very, very excited how the young Indian youngsters are far more conscious about environment and health today than what it was to the past. And a lot of things I think the corporates, retailers, manufacturers, and the government is doing towards that.
Yeah, so Sashiv, I'd just like to add in, one more word as to what Hari also mentioned, that the way how we look at it is holistic health. So while you say something is good for you, but that might not be a solution for you on a day-to-day level. So that's why when it comes to food, you're looking at a lifestyle change. So it's not only with regards to what you eat, but also as what Saugata Guptaji also mentioned, that it's about what you do around the food as well. So which is why, and what's the solution that what we're bringing across is that we are also opening up our own franchisee stores called the Sri Tattva Home and Health format, whereby we'll have a lifestyle consultant and also an Ayurveda doctor who will also prescribe, saying that what sort of food is good for you. Because normally, if you look at the science of Ayurveda, it's not only curative, but also it attends to your lifestyle itself. So Ayurveda has these answers saying that, okay, whether rice is good for you, whether dal is good for you, whether you need to have spices, whether you need to have curd, what time do you eat. So all this makes a difference. So that's where education also is a huge player when it comes to the future of food. And that's what we're doing. We're educating our consumers saying that what's good for you, and not only educating what is good for you, but when is it good for you. That's most important, because the food might be very, very healthy as to what you deliver to your customer, but if you are not training him or educating him when it is good for him, that would be a huge gap later. So that's what we are also attempting to fill. So we are attending to the lifestyle itself. Yeah.
So I'm tempted to ask you, Arvindji, your discontinuity therefore is saying holistic health. Is it in any way conflicting with the otherwise busy lifestyle which we have? I mean, I'm very impressed with the kind of efforts you're putting in, But is there a conflict? Because you're trying to actually asking people to slow down a bit maybe, make certain changes in the diet. Do you see a conflict coming in this discontinuity?
Not at all. See, when you, that's why when I mentioned to you that it's not about eating right, but also getting up a little early, going for that morning walk, doing a little bit of yoga, doing a little bit of meditation. So normally what happens is that in a normal day, people say that I don't have enough time. Now why is that? The sort of food that what you eat would either make you feel sleepy, or the sort of food that you eat might make you restless. But there's nobody telling you what sort of food actually suits your body. So when you attend to A, your food, and B, also your lifestyle, and that correcting your lifestyle. If you look at it, each one of us, run a huge conglomerate. So there are a lot of stresses that what we face on the management level, and also when you go back home or when you're there with friends, there are a lot of stresses that what you would undergo. So it's just about how you manage your life better, how do you manage yourself better, and how do you manage yourself better when you're healthy, both in body and in mind. And that's the change that what we from Sri Sri Tattva are bringing across and telling people, that it's not only that what you eat, but also how you lead your life also matters. Because if you have good food, but you don't have a good digestive system to digest it, then it's no use whatever food that what you put in.
See, I always have believed that there are three Indias. And the India we talk on the table is the India possibly we all come from. But I think the highest penetrated category of food in this country is just 30-35%. So 70% of households, yet even the basic food has not gone. And for me, the biggest opportunity is in that category, because there they still want a simple 2 rupee biscuit, a 2 rupee soft drink, a 2 rupee pickle, a 2 rupee pouch of honey, 5 rupee, 10 rupee, and they are still talking of basic food. And I do believe that their aspirations are also exactly similar to the others. So we need to give that at a cost, at the same value. And I think that is a huge opportunity, because as the people who are not buying any food, processed food, and let me tell you, the processed food industry in this country, and I am representing the processed food industry in the company, in the ministry and all, as part of associations since long. It is a nascent industry. The budget with the Ministry of Food Processing gets is probably 1/10 of the budget of any other big industry. And the reason is that it is so nascent. And I believe it is nascent because still the country is not consuming per capita income. Now you go to a place like Dubai, in Dubai there are nothing less than 20 to 25 1-liter Tetra Pak machines. In India, how many 1-liter Tetra Pak machines are there? That will give you an idea of what scope of Tetra Pak we are living in. So I'm saying the basic India is this 70%, the basic 2 rupee, 5 rupee, not the 100, 150 rupees. So where is the question of organic and health and holistic and all that for that India? Now I believe that is how to treat that is important, how to sort of cater to that, sorry. Number two is the middle class India, and there also their aspirations are big, but of course they don't have money in their pockets, so how do we work with them? And then the rich class we all talked about. But I think the biggest opportunity in India is to make in India for the world. You talk of the 1 billion. I believe we are not catering, Indian companies should not cater to India. We should have the vision to cater to the world. We are not looking at making in India and sending surplus products exports. Time has come when Indian manufacturers, Indian companies will have to make products for the world and then possibly also look at India as a route, something what people in China have done. I believe then, and when that happens, we will have that scale, we will have the quality, we can have that confidence, and then is where the food processing will go up in the whole way. And of course, next, if you ask me later, I will just speak how we can do that more also. But I think that is a huge opportunity in that in front of us. But last, the first question of yours, I'll still like to answer that what is the one thing which is going to change 10 years from today? And that is that hopefully we will see an India without those 3 compartments which I just now talked. And I'll be very happy if that compartments don't exist. I honestly believe.
So maybe at this stage, would you like to give one example where you are working towards along with Rasna to kind of fuse the 3 boundaries?
We are working absolutely in this format, and that is the reason we are very lucky, because our brand today is one of the few brands in this country. Of course, there are other brands like Parle-G, my favorite brand, or Colgate, which we cater to the people with 5,000 income also, and we cater to an income of 50 lakh rupees also. We cater to the child also, we cater to the grandmother also. And that's why, in fact, in my last ad, I showed grandmothers only, saying love you, Rasna, basically. And honestly, I believe that we are at a very good position to make products for the whole country. And that is why our whole aim is not only to appeal to a certain class of people or a certain class of retailers, but to appeal to everybody. And we are also entering into categories like this. Just recently, 2 months back, we have entered into honey, because honey was a category I saw everybody likes honey, everybody takes honey. The penetration is already high. It is the people who are in the villages also want it, urban also want it, 5,000 income also want it, 50,000 also want it. So we are working all on creating what I call typical mass products. And I strongly believe that we should give the same help to the small consumer, rural customer, as we are giving in health. For example, fortification. I have been always saying of voluntary fortification. Before 20 years, Rasna was the first powder drink in the world to adopt 21 vitamins and minerals in their formula. The same formula which probably Complan or Horlicks has. And you'll be surprised that 21 vitamin mineral formula I have for the 2 rupee product also and the 125 rupee product also. It is not that for 125 rupees I have less or more, or for the tea is less. So I do believe that nutrition and fortification is for everybody. And how do we work on products and fortification for everybody? On that also probably we can talk later. Otherwise I won't.